Good morning and welcome to DVI Bushcraft and Survival's Sunday morning meetup. Today we have Doc Fred with us and Justin. We're going to go over some knots specifically used to put up tarps old school. So back to basics, without the use of tensioning devices, without toggles and rapid deployment stuff. Like, those are all great. We all carry them in our kits. And but let's kind of go back to the old way, just to see why we do it, and then how doing it the rapid ways actually are advantageous to get things set up fast. Two main tarps that we'll go over today will be flying a tarp for use of cover and shelter. Also can be used to collect rainwater. And then another one, which we don't get to see very often in instructionals, is an A-frame, but we're going to do diamond A-frame and put it up a little higher, so we use of maybe using a hammock, right? So a lot of folks hammock camping today, and it'd be good to go over that one. So the main knots that we're going to be going over is a bowline. We're going to go over that first. We're going to go over a clove hitch, so end of line knots, and then a trucker's hitch. We'll do the improved trucker's hitch, and then lastly a taut line hitch for our guidelines. So that kind of covers it all. We'll be using some prusiks in this to attach the tarp to our ridge line, and you can reference our last video on knots, basic knots for bushcraft, on how to tie prusiks using the double barrel and the triple wrap, and we can just reference that on the video. So, all right, let's get down to some rope here. All right, so the first knot we're going to do is the basic bowline, right? There's a couple different ways to tie this, but for tying them for the end of the line, we're just going to tie it the conventional way. So we're going to start off with a loop, and the working end of the rope, that loop, this is on top, right? And then we're coming up through the loop, or the rabbit goes through the hole. We love that, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes around the tree. Mm-hmm. If you notice, I like to, whatever type of rope I'm using, I keep my pointer finger on that so it doesn't drop down, and it's clean to look at, right? And then I come back down through the hole. And for use of on the end of a line, and we're only talking about bowlines for tarps, I've already tied just an overhand stopper knot there, so I don't have to worry about it coming through. All right, so there's your in-hand bowline. You guys get that?
Yep.
Nice. All right. Second one we're going to do is we're going to do a clove hitch in hand that will go over an object. So clove hitches are used for round cylindrical objects like trees or pillars, but not so much I-beams and square things, because a clove hitch is a friction hitch that goes around something, and it's the friction that actually holds it. So if you look at a box, it's only going to bite on the four corners, and you're not going to get what you need out of it. So obviously a tree, you're not going to be going up and over, so we'll demonstrate that on a tree once we go over to that area. But you're going to turn one outward, inward, outward, however you're looking at it, and one in the opposite direction. All right? So one is here, one is on the back side. And then I like to teach offset it slightly in opposite directions, and then put them together. And then you have a clove hitch. All right, so once again, one outward, one inward. And you can see that the lines are opposing. Offset it slightly and put them together. Clove hitch. Exactly, Fred. The next knot we're going to do is a hitch. It's a taut line hitch. This is a great one to know for your guy lines on your tarps and tents. So it's, again, 550 cord. This would be where the stake is placed in the ground, and this is the end that's anchored up on the tarp. So we're just coming across and we're making a loop, and we're going to drop in towards the tarp. 1, 2 turns, and then we're neating that up. And then we're going to come on this side again, and now we're just going to drop it inward. So essentially what we're doing is just like a prusik knot, but we're doing it with one end of the rope, and we'll just neaten that all up. Tighten it up good. So now this is able to slide up on the rope, and when we have actually tension on it, it'll bite. We have to do this over there once we have some tension on it. That's the taut line hitch. And we'll go over the trucker's knot while we do it. All right, we're going to do a quick how to put a prusik loop on your ridge line, because we're going to be using them. And I'm going to show you a way where you're not going to get frustrated putting these things on. A prusik works the best when it's evenly flaked out and neat. So you want to offset the knot, right? So we don't want the knot where it's grabbing. So we're going to offset the knot about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and we're going to lay the prusik over the line. I'm going to feed that loop with the knot through here. Now notice, I'm making this loop small enough to get the rest of this through. The smaller this is, the neater your prusiks are going to come out, your triple wrap, and the end. And then we're going to go in one more time. One more time. So 3 wraps. And then we're just going to come in here and take up the slack by rolling it. And you see, there was these didn't flip over on itself, and it happened in one shot, so we didn't waste any time trying to neaten it. So now it moves, but it also will bite if I'm pulled in any direction. So that's where we'll attach our tarp. All right, let's head over to the trees. So we're going to want this thing to travel in this direction, so we want our clove hitch to be off here, so then it comes off that way, right? So if we go to safety it, and I'm going to teach you how to safety a clove hitch. So we're going to have enough rope to go around the tree a couple of times. And our first one, clove hitch is 2 half hitches that are opposing each other. So if you look at it like this, right, there's our first half hitch. Then we're going to go around the tree. Fred's going to grab it, right? And then we're going to go through here, which now makes our X, which is there are 2 opposing half hitches, clove hitch, right? Now, to properly tie this, where it's a safety, people tend to do this and put our safety in to finish it. And that's the wrong way, because it's what our whole purpose is, friction, right? Is what's keeping this thing tight. As soon as we do this, now it just becomes a loop around the tree and not friction. And with this bark, I'm not afraid of it sliding down, but if we're teaching a skill, let's teach it right. So we're going to do this one more time and give ourselves plenty of tail end here for our safety. So again, there's our cross, right? We're going to go around the tree and then here, and we're going to back through that one. So we can see that's a clove hitch, right? Our 2 opposing half hitches. And I'm just going to neaten this up on the tree a little bit. And again, we're right back to where we're supposed to be. And to tension this now, we're going to tighten it. We're going to wrap this around. Justin, if you want to follow that in between, your safety should go in between the 2 lines. And then here, we can just finish it off with an overhand. right? So now that tension is still holding our clove hitch.
And the good thing is you got multiple strands, so you got more of a surface area, keeping
More
the bite
tension.
onto the
Yeah.
actual
Yeah,
object
tension and
itself.
friction, that's what a clove hitch works on. Right. So another option for the static end of your ridgeline can also be a bowline. And the clove hitch uses a lot of rope. So if we don't have enough of the rope to span between two trees, bowline might be what we need to make that span. And I'm going to show you a way of doing a bowline that makes it really quick and it doesn't involve rabbits and trees and holes. So if we just take this, our rope is going around the tree from left to right. If we just take like our fingers like a pair of scissors and twist them, right? Your hands can't twist this direction, but it can twist back towards you. That'll place the rope with coming off the tree with a loop on top facing your right. Okay, we're good so far?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take that loop and flip it towards us where it lands on top of the running end of our line. We're going to pick out that, a small bite. And now we're going to take our working end of our line here, and we're going to feed it from the right to the left. And we can go as tight as we want. And then all we're doing is holding that bite, those two lines, and pulling on this. So now we have a bowline. And what's nice about a bowline is it is adjustable. So we can, if we have to adjust that to make it tighter to the tree, we can do so by just pulling on that slack and taking up our slack on that. A way to finish this off, if you want to safety it, is before we tighten it all up, you see this is called a Yosemite finish on a bowline, and it truly actually strengthens the knot, where if I was just to tie an overhand knot here, it just stops this working end of the rope from slipping through. A Yosemite finish allows it actually to strengthen the nipping turns on the rope. So you see how it naturally on an inside bowline wants to fall, right? Let it fall in the direction it wants to go, and you're just going to put it back through the loop one more time, creating another nipping turn. And then the rope that's hanging, you're just going to follow that out. Okay, we'll tighten our long rope first, which tightens your first nipping turn, and then we just snug up with the second one. And that's called the Yosemite finish, and it actually strengthens the knot. Let's see. No. All right, no worries, we can do this. I know how to do this. Our ridge lines are naturally 28 to 30 feet long. In the event that that's still not long enough, we can, with the use of toggles and bowlines and loops, very easily extend our ridge lines. But since we're just trying to show you some old school ways of doing this, we can do that with just two interlace and two bowlines. So I'm just going to tie up a quick bowline here, real small loops. That we can just interlace for demonstration purposes. So I'm adding another 6-foot loop to this. So bowline number 1, bowline number 2, and we're just going to stick one through the other and feed our extension line through it, which now essentially girth hitches. But you know what two girth hitches come together do? Makes a square knot. It's up there. Okay. Now I'm just going to do a little practice shot to make sure that this thing doesn't get in the way. All right, so the next one we're going to do is this trucker's hitch, right? Now it's the improved trucker's hitch because it's got a self-tightening ability. So the same trick that we used before about when we make our loop, same thing, scissors, bite, and then we're taking that loop and folding it on itself. Now it gives us a loop that when I pull it, it tensions that from that direction, right? If I pull it this way, it's going to slip, but in this direction, it bites. We're going to take the end of our rope, and we will pass this through that loop. So far, it's a regular trucker's hitch, and now we're just going to go one more time through.
The second turn makes it self.
The second turn is when I tension this, you can watch closely, it'll self-lock itself. So
you don't have to
and
tie
there it tights. So we can go banjo tight with this thing, and then it stays. And then what I usually do is take a bite and make my half hitch with a bite, just to safety it. And that's it. You can take that bite now and shorten it. You can put a toggle through there. You can put a tent stake through there so you don't lose it. And then take the rest of your line and get it out of the way. Neaten it up because we like neat. High five. All right, so what Fred's gonna do over there, he's gonna thread that prusik through the end of the tarp, drop in a tent stake, hook it, and you're gonna slide out the prusik and let it lock up. And then we can adjust the rest of that later. And then now we can pull that pretty tight, and it's up.
Like a lean-to.
Like a lean-to, exactly. The center one is optional. I like to use it. If you have the rope, you might as well. So I'm going to put my prusik on the line. And this prusik might be a little long for this particular option, but we'll make it work. And I'm gonna go total old school on this, and we're just gonna do a quick barrel knot here, which is basically like an overhand knot with a couple extra turns. And that'll bring this up closer than if we were using a toggle. Now we got our center configured. All right, next is the back end. So let me get a couple of long ropes. All right, so now we're gonna secure the back end of the tarp and tension it since we're flying this tarp for a shelter, not a tarp tent. So we're gonna, if we had toggles here, we could use the toggle, a bowline and a toggle, or we can just tie straight in to our tarp. Fred, could you come on over here and hang this for a second to keep it from the wind blowing away? So we're gonna come in here and we're gonna do our quick bowline on this end. That we're good there. And then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna do a We're going to do that improved trucker's hitch so we can get a nice stretch on this line. So I think we can use this tree to tension on. And we want this side a little lower than our ridge line. That way there, if it's raining, it'll rain down and away from us. And we could also set one of the corners a little lower than one of the others on the back side for rain collection. So if we're looking to gather water, this is another way of doing it. So we'll come back over here and we'll take up all our slack. All right, Fred, you're good there. And now we're going to come over here and do our trucker's hitch. So a little slack, Fred, same knot, flip it towards us. We've got our loop. Fred's graciously handing me the end of the rope. Do our improved trucker's hitch. And we're going to pull out all that slack. There it is. So now we'll come in here, and I'm not going to lock that up yet. I'm just going to leave it where it's at, and then we'll go to the other side, and that will have some adjustment. All right, so now we're going to secure the other side of our tarp. This time we're going to use green paracord because Justin's holding this side and he's in camis.
You can't even see him.
I can't even see him. So our quick little bowline. That side is secure. And now we'll come over here to this tree. And we'll see where we're at. I'm actually going to feed it from the other side of the tree so it pulls a little more to the outside. All right, come up here for our trucker's hitch. Once again, there's our loop. We pass it through one time. There's the once, and then the second time to make it an improved trucker's hitch. There's our second loop. And now we tighten. And there we go. And this is the point where we are lower, which is where we want to be. Fred, if you go on that side, and now we can just re-secure that end and give it a little tighten, and that should get our tarp nice and tight. And that's it. So at this point, I'll do my bite through as a half hitch, which secures it. If I have a tent stake, which I don't, if not, we could use a stick. That's it. Gotta love the fat wood.
I couldn't reach it.
No worries. Voila. Nice. And that's how we fly a tarp for a shelter, not configured as a tent, without using any other than some knots and some old school knowledge. That should be good. All right, so we're flying a tarp in a diamond A-frame configuration. This is used a lot of the times for hammock camping, right? So it's great because, as Justin was saying before, talk about the wind direction.
Basically, if the wind's coming from multiple different directions, you're getting a cross breeze.
Underneath.
You're not going to prevent yourself from getting a cross breeze, you know, being up underneath there if it was just coming in from one direction.
Right on. Also, you get more coverage of your hammock that's going to be underneath it on its own separate ridge line. So when the tarp is in this diamond configuration, end to end, diamond corner to corner, it's longer. So you get to cover more of your hammock.
Makes sense.
Right? So we've already secured it up and over the ridge line with our toggle. We used tent stakes as toggles on our prussics, and we've secured the one side down already. So now I'm going to come over to this side, and we're going to talk about doing the taut line hitch, right? So using the rope itself and nothing mechanical to tighten our guy lines. So here we are. We're going to come in around our tent stake, and we're going to form a loop like so. And we're just going to go on the inside and wrap it twice. So there's our 2 wraps. And then we're going to come this way. We're going to form another loop, and we're going to drop it in. There's one. And we're going to do it again, making our second loop. There's our second. Neaten it all up. I don't know if the camera can pick this up because of the orange, but that's what it looks like. And then the way this tightens is we're just going to be pulling on a line, and it tightens your tarp. And when I let go, it stays tight. If I need to loosen it or readjust it, it's just 2 fingers on here, just like a prusik. It's actually in configuration. That's really what it is. And that's it. Hey, thanks for joining us on our Sunday meetup, and thanks for watching on YouTube. If you have any questions about any of the stuff that we've done today, hit us up in the comments, and I'll get back to you for sure. But I hope you enjoyed what we do, and if you do, please like and subscribe and comment on our videos. It brings that algorithm up and keeps us doing what we like to do.